Summer routines live or die by how easy they are. And honestly, if something takes too much effort, I'm out. That's why Groons is my go-to. It's my one daily pack of gummies covering my greens, vitamins, and minerals. Plus, it has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber, which is more than 2 cups of broccoli. No mixing powders, no giant pills, no hassle. I just rip open the pack and I'm done. They taste good and they make it easy to stay on top of my health, even when life gets busy. Save up to 52% with the code PODCAST at Groons.co. That's code PODCAST at GRUNS.co.
Hi, everybody. This is Dawn Mitchell, and welcome to Dawn of Sports. Today, we're doing a little bit of a post-mortem, but I promise you we're going to have fun because the gentleman that we have as our guest this week is fun. His name is Travis Singleton, and if you are not quite aware of that, you know his moniker on all the socials, SneakerReporter. You know him for sure. We're going to be talking some hoops coming up.
That's right. She's Dawn Mitchell from Fox 9. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune and TalkNorth.com. This is kind of our interview show. A lot of times we highlight women's sports, but we don't just stick to women's sports. We do everything on this show. This is Dawn of Sports. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studio. Best way to listen to this show or any show you like at TalkNorth.com. Please subscribe to your favorite podcast app. It's free. It's the easiest way to listen. Thanks to our sponsors, including Lexus of Wayzata. I got to make sure I get that right. Lexus of Wayzata and Maplewood, as well as Natrium, Minnesota Masonic Charities, and 10K Construction. Back to Dawn.
Oh, Jim, I love when you say Wayzata.
I'm getting better. It's only taken me 35 years to learn how to pronounce that word.
Not Wayzata.
No.
Today, I'm so excited. One of I call him a brethren, because Jim, if you can handle it, is also from Boston. So,
I grew up on the East Coast. I can handle it.
Okay, you can handle us.
Yes.
Good. This is going to be even more fun. We are welcoming in a sneaker reporter. His name is Travis Singleton, covers not only the Timberwolves, but does that so well. He'll follow anything in the NBA and also the Lynx, too. So I know on this program, we like to celebrate men who celebrate women. So we're welcoming in Travis Singleton to the show. Hey, Travis, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. And we're going to have a lot of fun. Shout to Jim, too. I don't think we formally met, but I've seen Jim all over the place.
Oh, so, yeah. I know who you are. I kind of assume we knew each other. So I probably should have introduced myself at some point, but I just always felt like we kind of knew each other.
Nah, I feel the same way. So at the end of the day, we're family now. So that's all that matters.
Beautiful.
Hey, it's that East Coast love. I've seen you. I know you.
Exactly.
That's all it takes.
Exactly.
That's all it takes. All right. So if you are listening and you're a fan on social media, Sneaker Reporter is one of my absolute favorite follows, other than Jim Souhan. And
he's much better than me on social media. No question about that.
He keeps it real. That's why he keeps it real. Travis, before we do the post-mortem on the Timberwolves, get into little links, I want to back up a little bit. And first of all, a lot of people saying, how did he first come up with Sneaker Reporter? Did he just like sneakers? Is that how he got into NBA? Like, can you clear that up for people that sometimes get a little confused on the origins here?
Yeah, for sure. First off, I'm from Boston, like you said, with Bostonians, but I just grew up a sneakerhead. Like, my mom always had sneakers, my dad always had sneakers, and they had cool sneakers. And, growing up, I wanted to have the best sneakers as well. So what I did was once I got my first check at Walgreens, I started buying a lot of sneakers. And, the opportunity to cover the Boston Celtics kind of fell in my lap. And, I just wanted to make sure that I could wear nice casual clothing, but also have the sneakers on and still be myself, and a lot of reporters at the time, this is about 10, 15 years ago, they were wearing suit and tie combinations with shoes and everything like that. And I could do that. And I did do that because I wanted to, fit in. But then I also realized that, it's okay to stand out too. And, I was able to use the sneakers as a conversational piece. And be able to talk to the players, they'll be like, oh, what do you got on? And I'm like, what you got on? So it kind of opened up dialogue to that. And it led to a lot of interviews and great opportunity. Like I said, it's just the love for the sneakers. Yeah, I still knew I had a job to do. And, at the end of the day, it's a great conversational piece. And one thing that I realized was, just being able to, have the sneakers on one side, but then also bring the aspect of doing the job on the other. It presented opportunity. And it was great because, sneaker companies, now they reach out to me and they're like, hey, we want you to, review our shoe, or they send them to me. They're like, hey, we want you to wear them on the court. But then on the flip side, when I'm in the arenas, like I said, I got a job to do. So I got to do interviews and make sure I do game recaps and be able to, just do the job that a journalist does. So, but a lot of people make shoe eye contact instead of regular eye contact now. So people looking down before they look up. So it's definitely a conversational piece that starts at all times. And like I said, I was grateful that I was able to start it back in 2014 with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And yeah, it's a double entendre, honestly, because I could talk sneakers all day if you guys wanted to. I know Jim probably get bored with that, but I could talk sneakers all day and then I could talk sports all day. It doesn't matter.
Well, I actually want to jump in here. Usually I let Dawn run these conversations, but just to interject, my wife is a school administrator, and the last two high schools she's worked at, the staff, they all buy really cool Nikes and wear them. And it's in part as a conversation starter with high school kids. You might not have anything in common with a school kid, and then they see you're wearing like really cool Jordans or something, and you can have a conversation. So I think it's a great idea. I also love the fact that we've reached a point where you can wear a suit and actually wear comfortable shoes with it instead of wearing the old white guy stuff that used to pinch your feet.
Oh, let's not even
No.
go there, you guys. You didn't have to wear heels, okay? Heels.
Well,
I
that's
wear
true.
sneakers
Believe me,
now.
I would if I wore heels, I would fall down every third step.
Honestly, I mean, yeah, like when I first got in, like I started covering the NBA in 2009. So I want to say from 2009 to maybe 2012, I was wearing suit and tie combinations with dress shoes all the time. And then, a lot of the, Bob Ryan and a couple of old school guys in Boston that really just like looked at me and was like, hey, this kind of ain't you. You're too young for this. So it's kind of like they let me just be who I was. And shout out to Jeff Twist with the Boston Celtics at the time. He just really was like, hey, you can be yourself and, just continue to remember that you got a job to do. But like you said, it's pretty cool because I feel like sneakers bring all ages together, and you could be old and have some cool Jordans and a young kid would be like, how'd you get those? And then vice versa, even when you're at school, different places. It's a conversational opportunity where you get to actually know a person, right? You might judge somebody and then they have some pair of sneakers on. You're like, hey, I didn't know you had those. Yeah, my judgment was wrong. So it just kind of happens that way.
I'm glad you brought up Jeff Twist because when I started my career, I was actually at WEI Radio and did kind of thrown into the Celtics radio network when Tom Corelli went to the NBA. And Jeff is like the nicest guy, but this is going back a minute. This is the first time I met shoe reps. And it was Larry Bird's last year, and the Converse guy used to come in all the time because that's what Larry wore, right? So, and all the guys were going through getting their free shoes, and then the Nike guy came in. So the Nike guys and the Converse guys were like they were just ribbing each other and joking around and talking trash. And that's way before like sneakers got to be like really cool like they are now. They kind of were in their own sense, with the Chuck Taylors and all that stuff. But
For sure.
I loved how Jeff Twist kind of embraced all of that and just let it be what it was. Jackie McMullen was my idol.
Yeah.
She was on the beat at the time, and she would come in. She was pregnant, covering the team. She's wearing her sneakers. So it was cool. It was nice to see kind of the very beginnings of that. So I know that family and that origin story that you're talking about because they're just great, wonderful people. And yes, immensely basketball, right? So you could still be yourself and still be professional. So that's kind of what a cradle to start your career in, right?
Yeah. That was, you want to talk about a very competitive, like it's like a pack of hyenas or something. Like they just, the Boston media is really interesting. But I also branched out to be able to find myself, right? I wanted to challenge myself and see if journalism and just being able to be me in the industry was what I really was set out to do. And and I got too comfortable because you start getting, they know I'm from Boston and I'm the hometown kid, and a lot of people start asking, hey, how's your mom? How's your dad? How's this? How's that? And how's your sister? And I get comfortable now. Now they're becoming friends and people I consider like really, really close and stuff. So I started losing the competitive edge, and just wanted to kind of find my niche and see if, hey, you know what, let me see if I can make it in Boston, I can make it anywhere. That's always what my mom said. So I wanted to make sure I challenged that preface.
And also, there's something to say of, people in Boston don't leave, right? So
Yeah.
it's not even that you were losing your competitive edge. If you want more, sometimes those people aren't going to leave. Like, look, Jim Souhan's here forever, right? In Minneapolis, someone wants Jim's job, they're waiting, right? They're waiting. So you have to go somewhere else. So was your next stop OKC? What was your next stop after that?
Yeah, I was in OKC for 7 years, and some of the best years of my life, honestly. And people started catching on to what I was doing because the players started trusting me a lot more. I started gaining those relationships with the players over the time, and it really, honestly, people don't understand how important relationships with the players are. So like when you have PR staffs that actually let you talk to the players and build that rapport with them, it goes a long way. Because I mean, I always tell people, like, without Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul, even SGA, just to name a few, like without some of those guys when I was in Oklahoma City, I wouldn't be talking to you guys right now in Minnesota. So, there's a lot of relationships that were built, and we still have those today. And, and I'm one of those people that I'm really loyal to the soil. So it's like, if I'm already covering you, I'm going to try to get to your some of your events with your nonprofits and different things like that, to be able to just let you know, like, hey, I support you in the arena and outside the arena, and I think players really grab onto that.
Yeah, and it's a fine line, and Jim knows this well. Jim, I want you to jump in on this. It's a fine line because you build these relationships. It's just the nature of seeing these people every day. But you also can't get too close, right? Because you have to be able to write the truth.
Exactly.
So it's a balance, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And by the way, Jackie McMullen's one of my idols, one of the
Yeah.
greatest people in the industry. And I mean, it also depends on the job. It's like, you know, everybody has a different job, and within each job, different people go about it different ways. And, I'm a columnist. So, what I don't ever want to do is like give somebody the impression that because I like them or I get along with them or I've had a chat with them or two, that I won't criticize them, because I will criticize them. So I try to like not get too close, because I don't want anybody to ever feel betrayed. But everybody else's job is different. And beat reporters, they need to get close to people, or they won't have sources. They won't have access to information that makes them able to do their jobs well. A TV reporter, your thing, you want to get people on camera saying interesting things. So you have to have that kind of relationship, and you're probably not going to be the person who criticizes them if they fail. So I just think we have to recognize that everybody's going about it a different way, and that's all right.
Yeah.
Travis, have you ever had to criticize someone? And when we say criticize, we don't mean like tear them down. Sometimes you just have to be honest. Have you had
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I had a moment with Westbrook where, me and him are really tight. I mean, he's talked to my mom on numerous occasions for over an hour. Like, I'm loyal to him. Anybody that takes time out to talk to my mom, I'm like, hey, you're in. But I also, like Jim said, I also have a job to do, and he had a really bad game one night. I think he shot like 2 for 18 or something. And I had to tell the truth about it. I got to speak on it. Hey, you can't be the MVP and you're shooting like this. And I remember he came. He's like, hey man, what's going on, man? I thought we was boys. We are, but I still got to tell the truth.
Right.
If you're stinking to join up, you're stinking to join up. Just come back and bounce back and live to fight another day. So that was one prime example. But we do have a job to do. We can't continue to get you. What I do is I criticize politely. I tell the truth, but then I also give enough to the fan where there's positive energy,
where they're like, hey, there's a bounce back. Like, you know, they're going to come back from this instead of just beating them all the way down to the ground. So I kind of do it a gentle way.
Yeah. Well, as I like to say, if they're a pro athlete, they know what they did wrong before we even know. You know, they
Oh,
know
for sure.
when they're not having a good day. You don't have to remind them in a jerky way. You can just, but like you would tell your friend, it's not your day, is it?
Exactly. You know, everybody has a day, and at the end of the day, it's like, you got to look at it from my perspective. I get mad at myself if I know I missed interviews, and I'm going to beat myself up, but then I got a support group that's like, hey, Trav, come on, you only put one interview out. What's going on tonight? Hey, I only saw you wrote one article. What's going on this week? So you need those people in your corner that are being honest. I don't have a lot of yes people around me, which is really good. Like, my best friend is my biggest hater, and I appreciate him. So at the end of the day, that's just what it is.
Great to have Travis on. Thanks, Don, for lining this up. We want to take care of the business here. Let's start by thanking Minnesota Masonic Charities. Let's also thank Lexus of Wyzetta, I got it right, and Maplewood. Yes. Thanks to one of our newer sponsors, 10K Construction.
Randy Shaver here. I'm bringing back Shaver's Prep Football Podcast beginning the end of July. Every week, we'll dive into the best of Minnesota high school football, and I'm proud to say we're now powered by 10K Construction, Minnesota's go-to guys for roofing, siding, decks, windows, and everything in between. After severe weather hits, they'll even come out and give you a free, honest inspection to make sure your home is in good shape. Schedule your free honest inspection today at 10kconstruction.com or call 763-200-6064 for more information. That's 763-200-6064. The land of 10K Construction.
Now the part Dawn likes, where I talk about Natrium, because it actually does help me in my life.
Warm and fuzzies coming, Trav.
Yes. The interesting thing about Natrium is it probably helps me in a completely different way than it would help you or that you would want to use it. For myself, it's about joint pain, muscle soreness, the balms that can take those things away without me taking an over-counter drug and putting stuff in my body it's going to take a long time to process. It goes on. It smells good, or it kind of smells like nothing more than anything else. It doesn't feel greasy, and it provides almost instantaneous relief. I love that. My wife and I also use the sleep aids. It's just nice when you've been working hard and you know you need a good night's sleep to take something, just let you ease into sleep. But you might like it for partying. You might like it to have on a Tuesday night to de-stress. You might be going to a stressful situation and want to de-stress beforehand. If you go to the Natrium in St. Louis Park, they will help you find exactly what's right for you. Flavors, dosages, ingredients, delivery system. Then once you know what you like, then you go to natrium.com, Natreum.com, and order what you like, and they'll deliver it right to you. Highly recommend it. And now back to Dawn and Travis.
Well, Travis said his BFF is his biggest hater. Nutrafol is not Nutrafol. Natrium is your BFF, but I don't think they're your biggest hater. I think they're your biggest joy.
I wouldn't go that far. I would just say that it does improve my life in a very simple, affordable way.
That's right. Stacy is your biggest joy. I'm so sorry. I got to back that up.
Well, she listens to these. We got to be careful.
So, Travis, let me ask you this. Let's go to this year with the Timberwolves, where it was such a fun ride. I know Ant last year said, hey, we're going back to the Western Conference Finals. At the beginning, it didn't look like that was going to happen. And then we started seeing, Julius Randle kind of gel with the team, Dante DiVincenzo, that whole trade kind of settled down for both teams. Your biggest takeaway after sometimes people they see how that last game went and it leaves such a bad taste in your mouth and you can't really digest the good things. Have you had a chance to balance that out? And where's your brain at on that?
I think overall it was a good year, especially because, you got the Cat trade and the Julius trade, obviously, right there before training camp, a couple of days before. I mean, that's really tough when you're going into it like, hey, we're running this back, right? Because your mindset is already on running it back with that group that just got there. So when you change it, now you're like, okay, we're changing personnel. Is this going to mess up our chemistry? A lot of that. In the beginning, they didn't really have the chemistry And I can pinpoint a couple of times when Anthony Edwards was talking to the media where he's like, hey, we're not talking to each other, we're just trying to figure it out, different things like that. But then I think something clicked when Julius Randle got hurt and then when he came back, and I remember I talked to him like right after his first game back, and I was like, did you find something like from actually being able to watch the team now? Obviously, you're still with the team, but watching them on the court, did you like figure out how to actually insert yourself in different ways that can help the team? He's like, yeah, I could be a facilitator. I can, do different things that I wasn't doing before. Before I was trying to find my rhythm on my offensive game, where it's like, no, I need to figure out how to help, Ant get to his spots and different things like that. So after he came back from the injury, I thought that the team really started clicking because he started playing a whole different way and he started facilitating and really opening up that triple-double mentality that he does have. But this team overachieved. A lot of people, shot them down right after the trade. And, at the end of the day, they made it exactly to where they were last year. So they made Western Conference Finals. They lost in 5. They lost in 5. So, going into this next offseason coming up, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Do you shake things up? Obviously, you got Nikhil and you got Nas with their situations, even Julius with his situation. But I'm looking forward to seeing what exactly happens from a personnel standpoint. Because if you're somebody like Rudy Gobert, you're looking at it like every year I've been here, it's different. Like, can we get some stability? So same thing with Ant. It's like, hey, we keep changing the roster up. Let's, because when you build that chemistry, now all of a sudden you might move some pieces around. You lose pieces, you gain pieces. That affects the mental and the morale of a team as well. So I'm just curious to see what they do. And hats off to Chris Finch because, he's changing up personnel, but then at the same time, he still delivered back-to-back Western Conference Finals. So I don't look at this year as a letdown or they didn't do what they were supposed to do. I think they overachieved for where they were. Obviously, Ant said they would be back. A lot of people didn't believe it, but the confidence that he has, and he even said the other day, he's going to be the hardest worker this offseason. So I'm looking forward to his trajectory as well because the next leap for Anthony Edwards is the MVP talk.
What do you need to see from Ant, you think?
I think I just need to see him continue to grow his offensive game. Too much dancing, too much dribbling. I love when he dances and dribbles. That's what everybody likes to see because it's entertaining. Sometimes you just got to go with the boring game and just get in the paint, live off the elbow, and figure out how to get your teammates involved from the left-hand side or the right-hand side and be able to work on that, continue to work on the fadeaway that he already knows how to hit. It's more so just making sure that he gets his own definite spots that he's like, okay, when I'm here, this is automatic. And I think that's the next step in his game is finding that signature move that when he does it every time, it's a bucket or he's either opening up opportunity for his teammates. But I think, he's only 23. So at the end of the day, so many people put a lot of pressure on him because this is Minnesota sports, and, at the end of the day, they want that finals berth. And a lot of expectations, a lot of pressure come with it. But if he opens up his game in that elbow area of the paint, where he's at the top key of the free throw line and be able to really work on facilitating, but also finding his offense there, it'll be tougher for teams to trap him. So I think that would be something that I would look forward to seeing. Obviously, this offseason, he was like, hey, I want to be a better three-point shooter, and look what happened. He had the most three-point makes. So if he says he's going to work the hardest, I believe him. And I think the next level, like I said, is MVP level. And he's going to have to put up a lot more volume of shots coming this upcoming season, but they have to be good quality shots.
Yeah, when I saw him, he seemed a little defeated, in that obviously last game like everyone else did. I like how, like you said, his three-point game has grown. Um, I know the whole game is about shooting threes when you can, and if this team is not if they're throwing up bricks, it's gonna be a long day if all they're doing is kicking out and throwing a three. So I really like that idea of kind of, work on your mid-range, work on driving the lane. But with the personnel keep changing, like, I don't know. I can't look into a crystal ball and know anything, but, Nah is gonna get his payday. And
Mm-hmm.
he may not be back. Some of these supporting cast members that really make up the chemistry of the team. You don't want a big shift, but I just think with the way the money is in the NBA, there's going to be some changes, and that's once again going to affect this team. They can't afford to get off to another slow start and figure it out midway through again, right?
No, I agree. I obviously with the changes coming, whether you keep people or you lose people, it's still tough from a morale standpoint because you want to, as a team, you want to keep the chemistry. Some of the best teams that have won championships, they keep their core chemistry. Look at the Golden State Warriors. They always kept Clay, Draymond, and Steph. They just made a shift, but it took a long time. The Minnesota Timberwolves haven't had that opportunity to really gel their core together. I mean, they've had Jaden, Ant, and Nas, but then what if something happens with Nas? So
Right.
you gotta continue to make sure that Anthony Edwards is happy, but at the same time, you have to continue to bring in pieces that are going to gel properly with your team because you don't want to bring in the wrong piece and then all of a sudden, morale goes down, chemistry goes down. So it's all about just making sure you put people around you that are going to excel and make sure that you continue to get better because overall, this team has what it takes at the top. I always say they're starting their first 7 to 8 players. You know what you're going to get out of them. But you got to continue to shore up that back end of it. I want to see Rob get more minutes. I want to see Rob excel and take that next step. He's the main one that I'm really excited for this offseason because I think the Summer League is really going to unlock a lot of things that he really needs to focus on with his game. And I think that it'll transition into the next year where Mike can kind of take a back role. And if Rob's a part of the equation, then we should see that leap that he's supposed to be taking.
Yeah, and I love seeing like Terrence Shannon Jr., TJ really taking the next step up. Even Finchie was saying, "Hey, some of these guys, they're going to see more time." He knows that he's got a lot of talent that he can develop too. With some of these other guys that were just starting to see some time.
Yeah, I love what we got out of Terrence Shannon Jr. this postseason. And who knows if you would have went to him a little earlier, you never know the situation, but. He's somebody that has a real good, trajectory. Obviously, Jim was in there as well. He was saying he has a big summer coming up. So we just got to continue to, believe in the process and the training that they're putting in with these guys in the off season. And you got to give opportunity, And sometimes with society, we get comfortable with what we know with what works, And Chris Finch is like, I know these 7 to 8 guys work. So
Right.
sometimes you got to get out your comfort zone and throw a Terrence Shannon Jr. in there in the mix or Jalen Clark or Rob Dillingham and see what they could do to shake things up to be able to see what you got. But one thing, like I said, I'll never bash Chris Finch because I think he's made some great adjustments. I think he's obviously back-to-back Western Conference Finals. You can't really say too much. I think his coaching is really good. I think he motivates the guys. But I think going into the offseason, they're going to definitely look at the younger guys and see if they're ready to go. And that's the next step for this team.
All right, let's change our attention over to Lynx because you do some Lynx games too. I don't know if you're going to fully entrench yourself like you do with the Wolves, but I mean 6-0 right now, incredible. They won even without Nafisa. What is your take and what do you like about covering the women's game as opposed to the men's game?
I think the women's game is extremely fun. Like it's just crazy to me. I feel like every NBA team should have a WNBA team linked to them. That's just my personal opinion.
Nice.
But I think that the game is continuing to grow. I just love the fact that they let them play. I feel like every game I watch from the Lynx, I'm like, man, they're letting them play. So that's a beauty. That's a beauty in itself because you're not getting too many whistles. People are really out there just really playing their heart out. The biggest thing for me was when I came over here, I knew who, Nafisa Collier was, but I didn't know that she was MVP. I didn't know that she was playing like this. When I came over in 2022, I was just, okay, here's a team that got really good players. I didn't realize the work that Kayla McBride put in on both ends of the floor. Like I always just noticed her as an offensive player. But then when you watch her on a nightly basis, I'm like, okay, she's a two-way player. And the same thing with Fee. I didn't know defensively she was impacting the game like that. Steals, blocks, all the above. I just love the beauty of the game because you can tell they're passionate. Just watching Cheryl, I'm like, man, this team, they're passionate. And the fans are passionate. And it's organic. I feel like sometimes with the NBA, it's like, you kind of get makeup put on everything, like mascara with stuff that doesn't work. But with the W, it's like, even if it doesn't work, the fans are still supporting it until it does work. And now look at the league is growing and it's working now. You got these Caitlin Clarks, you got the Angel Reeses, you got Paige Beckers, the Minnesota Pride, you got her coming in. You're going to have Juju Watkins coming in. So there's so many different levels of the WNBA that I'm like, they're going to continue to grow, and it's exciting for the future.
You talk about letting them play. Paige was talking about that's the one thing that she really has to adjust to from college to now is the physicality. Unfortunately, she's out right now. She's under concussion protocol. Caitlin took that big hit, and now she's out for a couple of weeks. There is a physicality to the WNBA that I think people that don't know the game are surprised by. Um, and I know that you said, wow, they're letting them play, but were you surprised at all by the physicality, the difference between watching NCAA women's hoops and then seeing the W?
Yeah, there's definitely a different level of physicality for sure. I mean, I don't understand, like, people made a big deal of Caitlin Clark's, foul on Angel Reese. And I'm like, that's not even a flagrant. That's just a regular tic-tac foul, in my opinion. This was a little, a little bit, I don't know, a little aggressive. I guess in that we're not used to seeing that from her. So maybe that's why they gave her a flagrant. But I think that the physicality is really good. I mean, they let them fight in the paint as far as banging in the post and getting positioning. I see a lot of, that's the biggest thing I see. I see rebounding wars in the WNBA that I don't see in the NBA. I feel like they let them actually get position and really fight to get position. So there's a lot of positives that I do see with the game and how it's growing. Obviously, some calls need to be made, and I feel like that's the one thing that the W needs to work on is the refereeing, because I feel like sometimes the referees are letting them play a little too much. Because I'm like, all right, this is blatantly a foul, and then all of a sudden they come back down the floor, and then something that's not a foul, they're calling a foul. So we just got to get some consistency. But other than that, I love the W, and I'm so honored to cover women's basketball, man. It's something that I've always wanted to do. Something that I dreamed about from far away. Even in OKC, when I got there, they had the Tulsa Shock, and then they moved them to Dallas to become the Wings. So I was a little upset. But, I've always admired the game from far, and I'm just happy to be around it now.
Let me tell you, Cheryl Reeve is so happy. She agrees with you, I bet, on all that you said about the referees. Just a little consistency. Let's keep it the same. Let's talk about your beer. I know I'm gonna mess it up. Your Haterade, right?
Yeah.
Tell us, you have a beer going that's with your name on it, and it's cool.
It's cool. I mean, shout out to Headflyer Brewery right off of Henny Pen. They reached out to me and was like, man, we would really like to, make something happen where we can collab on a beer. And, I'm just grateful. I mean, you got people like John and, from Athletic that, paved the way for that opportunity. But, it was just really humbling and really exciting to see. We launched it on Wednesday, and I'm just looking at so many people and they're drinking it, and I'm like, what the heck? So it just kind of was like it kind of was a surreal moment, because you got people that are just like chugging down a beer that you put your name on and that you help mold into what it was. So it was pretty cool. They just asked me about my favorite beer. I just told them I like Corona, and I know we got sponsors on here, so if we can edit Corona out, we need to.
That's okay. We're not sensitive.
Okay, all right. But I just brought up a different lager that I liked, and then they just asked about different drinks, and they were like, hey, we're thinking about using it to, maybe we can infuse some Gatorade into your favorite lager. And I was like, hey, let's do it. So we went by, and I was able to test it out before everybody had it. Obviously, I didn't get drunk, but but I was able to try it out, and it tastes really well, and the reception was really good. It's just that obviously the team didn't do their part that night. Game 5, it was rough to watch, but for a beer release and a watch party at the same time, it was very successful, and I never take those moments for granted. So you definitely got to go to Headflyer. They're gonna have it all summer. It's called Haterade, Vibrant Haterade. So just make sure you guys check it out.
Vibrant Haterade. Do they have like your worst pair of sneakers on there for like a logo or something?
So the cans, if we go into mass production, we're still doing the numbers from the launch party up until, I think it's going to be from the launch party up until Sunday. Once the numbers come back, if there's a certain amount of revenue that was created, then we mass produce it and we get it into cans, and then we start doing designs, and so we go into that. But I'll definitely have, what I was thinking about doing was having some of the Minnesota Timberwolves' biggest haters on the can. That was what I was thinking about doing. So that's a little insight for you guys.
All right. Well, hey, before I let you go, I can't let a sneaker reporter go without asking what your favorite kicks are of all time that you wish to own and that you own. So it could be the same pair or it could be two different pairs.
Putting me on the spot. It's really tough. I would probably go to Jordan 4 Lightning. Jim's like, what the heck is he talking about? But
he owns a couple, by the way.
Okay, it's Jordan 4 Lightning. It just has sentimental value to me. It was a sneaker that I tried to get before my dad passed away, and he tried his best to get it with me, and it just sold out instantly. And then I finally got the chance to, when they came back out, 2022. Right before I came to Minnesota, they came out, so I was able to get 3 pairs. So I was happy about that. And then the next one would probably catch people off guard, but it was Nike GP3 Zoom, so Gary Payton's third sneaker.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was a kid, that was the first shoe that I bought that was over $100 that my mom spent money on because I had good grades on my report card. So that shoe, if they ever bring it back out, I will do the same. I'll probably buy 3 pairs of sneakers for that too. So all my favorite sneakers have sentimental value to them, and just bring up different moments in my life, whether I was struggling at a time where we couldn't pay for bills or something like that from a family perspective, or like I was finally able to get it. Like there was a pair of Jordans I wanted so bad, and I saved up like my first checks from Walgreens to get them. So stuff like that where those are the ones that mean the most to me now. Everybody's a sneakerhead now if you got like 5. So at the end of the day, I just try to, make sure that I stay true to myself. But those are my favorite 2 or 3 right there.
Well, Travis, I even like you even more now, hearing why those are your favorites. That Russell Westbrook you love because he was good to your mom. Shout out to your mom too, by the way, and we're sending her our best. And gosh, this conversation, I already knew you, makes me like you even more. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Don, and I love you even more too. I appreciate you guys for your patience with me yesterday and everything. But I'm always gonna try to make true and make something better and just be there for every opportunity. So if you guys need me throughout the year with the links, I'll be covering them. I'm gonna be out there for Summer League as well. So if you guys need anything, just let me know. I'm here for you guys. Thank you, Don and Jim. I appreciate both of y'all time.
Beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Travis.
Thank you so much. So follow him. He's Sneaker Reporter and Vibrant Haterade, the beer at Flyerhead. Awesome.
Headflyer.
Headflyer.
Yeah, Headflyer is also
Flyerhead?
one of our. Yeah, Headflyer is also a sponsor on the John Krasinski show. So this
Why
is
am I
all
speaking
in the
backwards
family.
today? I am speaking backwards.
It's the weekend.
It's the weekend. I said hair legs rather than leg hairs the other day, so
I love it.
I need a vacation.
Yeah, you do.
All right.
We all need a vacation.
We do. Beer for everybody. Haterade for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. We need. I might have to head down there later.
Beautiful.
Have some for us.
Okay.
Travis,